GM. How's it going, Clemente?
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. We got a fun day ahead of us. Look, I'm excited because my Mariners are one game away from clinching the playoffs for the first time in 21 years. So, gonna go see that game tonight, and should be a hell of a night if they win. So that's what I'm excited for, man. What about you?
Yeah, love to hear it. I was actually supposed to be going away this weekend on a bit of vacation, but the hurricane ruining my plans coming in, canceling the festival I was going to in Ocean City, Maryland. So I'm at home. You're stuck with me another day.
Let's go. Let's go. I know Tom was excited to jump on in case you weren't able to. But we got a good show ahead of us. Guys, welcome to the 13th episode of the WGMI Morning Show, where we bring you everything and anything you need to know about the NFT market in 30 minutes or less. The Friday edition. We also prep you for the weekend and what's to come, and we summarize a little bit of the last week or so. We also use WGMI's various tools and analytics to provide you the best data possible, to provide you with as much of a competitive advantage in this market as we can, which is something I know we all need. If you like what you see and you possibly want to try out some of our tools, be sure to DM us the word newsfeed for a chance to win a 7-day trial. Some of the broader market stories we're going to cover today. We had Pixelmon introduce the artist behind their trainer airdrop, and we'll dive into a little bit more on who they are. But they seem to be showing signs of life over the last week. They are up 2x from about a 0.17 floor. Last time I checked, they're sitting at a 0.4 ETH floor. We'll dive into that a little bit later. We had another big bid come in for a punk yesterday for 700 ETH. We'll go into what that punk looks like, why it seems valuable, and the history behind that wallet. Lastly, OpenSea now has a storytelling NFTs feature on their page now, first featuring the Pudgy Penguins when they shared their Chapter 1 animated short yesterday. They were also a little bit more active on Twitter. We'll go through some of that as X2Y2 continues to take up some of their market share. When you look at yesterday's volume, X2Y2 had 50% of OpenSea's volume. As always, if you could retweet this broadcast, we would appreciate it. And we're also live on YouTube. The link is below in Twitter. Be sure to check that out. Ray, any big takeaways yesterday?
Not too much yesterday. Nice to see that the volume was steady on OpenSea coming into the weekend. Definitely had my eye on some of these projects that you've talked about. The 3Ps, Pixelmon, Punks, and the Penguins. Interested to talk about them a bit. Ethereum seems to be steady, seems to be holding in this range. We talked a bit yesterday. Tom and I were on the Ninja Alerts podcast, talking market, talking about the news feed, talking about our different strategies. Had some different takes on where we thought ETH would be by the end of the year and what that would have to do with the NFT market. A lot of very bearish takes, could be dropping down below 1,000, maybe ranging in the same area, but interesting to see, if it does range for, an extended period, do we start to see some appreciation in NFTs? Are people looking at ETH more as, a store of value, and then they can, maybe take a bit more risk in the NFT market as, a chance to, quickly, 2x, 3x, 10x investment. So something to look at for sure. The macro conditions, still aren't great. Still no news there. No end in sight for inflation and the continued rate hikes, but something to keep an eye on, especially if ETH does become a bit more steady.
Yeah, that'd be great to see. It was pretty steady this week, actually. But taking you guys to the morning snapshot. Yesterday, we had an OpenSea volume of 11.9 million. Going into the dashboard, we had the QQL mint pass leading the way. This number is a little bit off because we are pulling the OpenSea slug, and that has been changed. But either way, it is still leading the 24-hour volume. We had Renga coming in hot. They had a little bit of a pump yesterday. They were sitting at 1.3. They hit a high of 1.7. So definitely something notable there. And Punk's still settling in at 402. what was interesting to me is for the first time in I can't remember how long, the top three, there's no Yuga asset there. Now that I think about it, CryptoPunks owned by Yuga, but no natively owned Yuga assets there. We'll dive into later on in the show if we do have time. We'll go through the 7-day volume and some of the big 7-day movers. In other news, there was a bean that sold for 35 ETH yesterday. Pretty notable there, and they saw a little bit of a pump there that we can go into a little bit later. Ray, anything to take away here?
I mean, the CryptoPunk offer was interesting. We're seeing a good amount of volume on the heels of that large sale. I was looking at the QQL over here. I think we do see that floor for CryptoPunks continue to climb a bit. Seeing a large sale in the market like that can be a bit of a catalyst, knowing that there are still buyers at the high end of the market. Outside of that, I mean, there really hasn't been a ton of really needle moving news. Nice to see the volume pick up on QQL. I think I touched 22 yesterday, back down around 20 now. I was looking at this QQL number 11. I know they minted some directly, some outputs directly. This one looked like it was a mint pass that potentially was burned. I'm not sure if that has opened up yet. I was trying to dig into that a bit this morning, but seeing that there are some mint passes being burned for outputs. I know they said that opens today on Friday. So interested to see how many get made today, when that opens, if it's already open. Something I want to look into for sure. We also see the revealed QQLs for the winners of the contest and the ones that Tyler and Dandelion minted themselves. 1 and 2 are Tyler and Dandelion respectfully, and then three through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, I guess these are all the winners. These 9 here of the art contest. So that one wasn't minted from the original stash. This is one that won the art contest and was minted that way. Will be interesting to see how it goes and what the market will look like there.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned we were talking about this before the show that Xcopy bought a mint pass, so it'll definitely be interesting to see what comes out of that one, if it does end up getting used, if and when, and what that output looks like.
Yeah, for sure. I saw that. I believe actually saw Anfex tweet about it, which is interesting. He's one of the ones who won that the contest. So one of those outputs was his. He got picked. He had a free QQL mint pass as well as his output delivered to him. So very cool to see, and also really interested to see what Xcopy is going to do with that output. I'm sure he has some plans. I wonder if he's been playing around with the tool already or just wanted to jump in anticipation of, curating an output eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's nice seeing that there's been a good amount of activity around and volume around this collection. I was honestly kind of surprised. It was just because typically with these Dutch auctions, it usually captures the market demand really well. But it seems like it might have gone a little bit on the lower side, and now the market is kind of reacting, trying to calibrate a little bit. And maybe seems like around this 20 ETH range for the next little while might be the fair market value.
Yeah, and it's really going to be interesting to see like the mechanics as they're burning and the supply reduces. Like how many of these people selling at the floor are flippers? How many of them are potentially actually minting the pass? Interesting to see. I'm sure we may actually see, like some of these early outputs may flip on secondary early. Like if we do see, a flood of these, like there may be value in being like the first output today or a day one output. So definitely interesting to see. Interesting to see as well. Like when you look at some of these, you can, figure out what, levers the artist pool, and you can try to, create something similar. So you have access to, all these traits on their create site. If you look at this one, you say, hey, I want to make something like close to that. You can pop all these traits in and start generating it. They have so much randomization and other behind the scenes levers that are at work. So you're not going to be able to generate exactly this or likely anything really close, but you can, have something that's sort of derivative. So it'll be interesting to see how many people, try to see some of these bigger pieces or some of these curated pieces by larger artists and then try to create something, similar themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
That being said, I think we can jump into the news for today. Just a brief dive on a number of projects for sure, and then we can kind of go a bit deeper into some of the trending topics of the day. Does that sound good to you?
Let's do it. Can't wait.
Alrighty, so leading off for the WGMI news feed, we have the Wind Chime project by Mike Shinoda. This has been talked about for a few days now. We covered it on Tuesday when he first tweeted about it on our news feed. He's released some more details on the project now. It's called Wind Chime. It's going to be a musical digital collectible. And by musical, it's also considered music making. So you're going to have, it sounds like the artists or the holders themselves can play with and save these loops. So I'm interested to see how that works, how rarity is involved, because they're talking about rarity and layers as well. All of the art and music is by Mike Shinoda. He has done something similar on Tezos. Ziggurats was a project on Tezos that did something similar to this. He released a small mixtape of like 4 or 5 songs, and the way it worked was these Ziggurats were like PFPs, and then they come with the mixtape plays in the background, about 6 minutes long. So it's basically different layers. There's different like melody, track, drums. The lyrics are slightly different than the speed and things like that. So he's done something similar. So I think that may be like his like almost test first entry in. I think this is where he's really comfortable with the tooling and really pushing it onto ETH. So this will be an ETH collection. Interesting to see there. If you do hold these Ziggurats or Secret Garden keys, you're going to be eligible to purchase one of these. You'll have guaranteed access, first access. And like I showed you, these Ziggurats right now, I believe, are at 28.8. They're at 25 a few days ago when we first pointed out that this allow list would be available. This is 28.8 Tezos. Tezos is about $1.40, $1.30 in that range. So you're looking at maybe $50 or so there if you want to get in early to this. There's also some other access. Yep.
I was about to say, as far as Mike Shinoda, do you know, is he still involved with some of the other bands? I know he was involved in a couple different bands. Is he still involved with them? Is he more of an independent artist now? I'm just curious where he's at in his career. It definitely seems like he's in later stages.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, he's really been focused like heavily on blockchain lately, and I think to the dismay of many of his fans, like he's really dove down this rabbit hole. I think he was on Proof with Kevin Rose a little over a year ago. I think that's where I first heard about Ziggurats when I minted those way back when. But I think he's like focusing his music efforts onto the blockchain. I know he was, with Linkin Park. He's done his own spinoff where he does like solo stuff. So I'm not really sure about, where he's at, mainstream, but I know he's very deep in Web3 and the Web3 space.
The reason why I ask is, I mean, I'm looking at some of his songs. His top songs are back in 2003, 2005. I think with a lot of these artists later on in their career, they have a little bit more. They're a little bit more incentivized to try something new almost, because it's like, hey, what can I do to kind of rejuvenate or try to take a new approach versus someone that's just starting out or at the top. They're not incentivized to try something in this way. So definitely is interesting to see, identify, hey, where are these guys at within their career, and what incentivizes them, what makes them more likely to get into Web3. You saw a similar approach with like media companies, for example, like Time. They were they were losing subscriptions very, very fast. They were kind of losing relevancy, and that incentivized them more almost to get into Web3, and rejuvenate and find new revenue streams. And it's actually worked very well for them.
Yeah, it's interesting to see a lot of these companies pivot and realize that, hey, this could be a new avenue. This could be the next frontier of the future. Let's get in early, and the companies having the foresight and courage to do that is great to see. I mean, look at Mike Shinoda. I mean, 1 million followers on Twitter. I mean, that's a great sort of audience to show this to, and you can see he's heavy Web3 on his profile. He's got retweeting Fubar, and he's like deep in the weeds. Talking about Web3, retweeting his own projects, always talking about Ziggurats, what he released, and talking about what that is, and why he believes it's kind of the future of music, or at least a future of music. Having generative songs is interesting, and I listened to a few of them. I own a couple Ziggurats, and they were cool, but like I was checking out some of the ones in the marketplace, and it's interesting. Like you're so used to hearing a song the same way, and maybe you hear a live version or two, but every different NFT was a different version, slightly of that same song that was like noticeable, which is interesting for sure. Back a little bit more on topic though. So if you want to get involved, those projects give you first access. I believe it's dropping October 12th. We'll keep you updated as that approaches. But as previous projects do provide you early access and discount, there will then be some raffles available to other partner projects, friend communities, Proof, Moonbirds, Warps, Capsule House, and then pre-mint collectors pass holders. So we have those raffle links there. If you hold any of those assets, you can access those directly from our newsfeed, and then a public mint if any are left after that. We'll keep you updated on this project as well as any other upcoming drops to catch our eye on our newsfeed. Moving on a bit, though, we have Digidaigaku announcing their first collaboration with Castaways. So Castaways is a project that I actually jumped into a month ago, maybe. I know when Moonbirds or when the oddities had like some kind of announcement, I sold off an oddity and I bought a raft from Castaways, and then oddities immediately 3x'd and the raft immediately got cut in half. I got some flack for that, but eventually with Digidaigaku bringing this meta of VC funded, free to own, Castaways made a resurgence. I believe the rafts are up to a 20 ETH floor now. On OpenSea, which is wild. We did some speculation because it was right around when Digidaigaku launched that the raft started moving, and we looked at some wallets. We were looking at the wallets, and we found a number that held both rafts and Digidaigakus for a period of time, and we were speculating, hey, are they owned by the same company? What's going on here? Like, is there some sort of connection? And it didn't seem to pan out back then. I think a lot of those wallets, sold half or some of the assets from either collection. But it's interesting to see that they are, teaming up as kind of free to own players and lead free to own players in that space. So cool to see there. It sounds like there's going to be some crossover with characters in the Raft world that are, the Digidaigaku Genesis characters. Moving on to Gutter Cats, we have the gang coin being delayed into Q4. I believe it was supposed to be released Q3. They're not saying October, so I don't know how far into Q4 this could extend. I feel like if it was a slight delay, we might have heard October as a timeline. I know that we talked to Stoney a bit, and he seemed pretty bullish on the coin, that they're going to be dropping immediate utility. It's not something that's going to be speculative for a while, so maybe they're getting all their ducks in a row there. Interesting to see that. I'm not sure if Gutter ecosystem you have any of the...
I'll say is I don't have any exposure to the Gutter ecosystem, but it was interesting to see why they decided to kind of go their route of making their own Twitter account and like separating the two. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. It's very similar to what ApeCoin did, right? And as we were talking about like a month ago, this is the same team behind ApeCoin, if I'm not mistaken, right? So it is kind of interesting seeing. To be honest, I see some similarities between how the two are being kind of ran from a social media point of view and from like a marketing point of view when I look at this. So it'll be really interesting to see how that turns out. And you could potentially look at getting maybe a clone or a cat at a discount over the next month or so as they still try to get everything going. But possibly when this thing launches, it should, depending on what the rewards are for each tier, it should cause a little bit of a pump there. So definitely something to watch for.
Yep, definitely agree. I'll have my eye out there. I do have a few clones. Could look at picking up some more. Jumping back into the news, coming from the sandbox, you can bridge your land to Polygon and get different perks there. There's an exclusive landowner staking pool. There's land multipliers, and you get a sand claim for each land that you migrate over. It looks like they're doing a larger migration to Polygon. We have the links here for more details, talking about the different contracts. Maybe they're pivoting to off of ETH, to save that gas cost, as there are going to be a number of transactions as there are in any game. You want to minimize gas costs at any stage of the game. 10KTF. I pulled my tab off of off of my browser.
Mm.
10KTF announces Ape rewards. So this was a surprise. This wasn't expected. Yesterday they announced that there would be Ape rewards for Battletown participants. I checked my my Battletown account to see how much I got for the month of August. On my one where I only have one asset, I was rewarded 1.5 Ape coin. So not a ton to write home about there, but I do know they are. I think it's like 16,000 a week that they're dropping to holders. So proportionate to your assets and the number of assets you're sending on missions, you will get some Ape coin there, and you'll be able to claim that through November 13th. We'll keep you updated as that claim window closes to make sure that you are claiming all of your potential benefits for your assets. Moving on, we have Nina's Super Cool World. Nina Chanel is doing live exhibitions, and there is our QR codes. They said there would be future benefits for owning these POAPs. So if you are in these local areas, I believe the first is in New York. It's running from September 30th to November 12th. They are exclusive. They're limited to 250, one claim per wallet. So if you're heading to that, definitely take a look at getting that POAP. I believe they said that would have value going forward. Jenkins the Valet announced.
One of the things I'll say there real quick, Ray. I know she's extremely popular. Nina is in the Web 2 world, and I was listening to the Node Mode like 3-4 weeks ago, and they were talking about how this is actually one of the. I think they're talking to Chris Bennett. He was like, "Hey, this is one of the things where if I was brand new to this space, or if I was looking to find a couple pieces that would make sense, this would be one of them." And this is when it was back at around 0.6, 0.7, and he was referring to like, "Hey, this is something that I would hold for years." Definitely interesting to see. So I just wanted to jump in and share that, like, hey, this could be a potential, like, if you're looking to get some exposure to the art world from a prominent Web 2 artist, this could definitely be something to look into.
For sure, for sure. And that's one of the benefits of this news feed too. It's awesome being able to run through all the news. You can have the news filtered just to your holdings, but you can also choose to view news by all news we cover. And doing this every day with you, looking through it myself, I'm seeing all these projects that I haven't necessarily invested in, but now I'm getting the most up-to-date, valuable news on these products and projects. And I can say, hey, like, look at this. Like these last 3 announcements, they've caught my eye. I'm looking at the charts on our custom chart creator. I'm looking at the Project Explorer page to see like what traits have been selling, where the floor walls are, how the volumes looked. And it really can influence buy decisions in a way that WGMI hasn't offered before. We have been more of a track your portfolio, find the right time to sell platform. And now with this newsfeed, it's becoming more of an advantage in a buyer's market where you can look at this news, you're getting it quick, you're getting accurate information, you're getting valuable information. So you're not digging around through a bunch of, uncurated news trying to find out what matters. And I think that's one of the main benefits we're seeing with this newsfeed. And if you want access to this newsfeed and all of our tooling, go to WGMI.io. We are currently minting our all access pass. This will get you access to all of our portfolio tools, newsfeed, custom charts, data, analytics, Project Explorer, everything we offer. And we're continuing to add features every single day. Moving on a bit back to the news, though, Jenkins the Valet announced a date for entering Azurbula, October 3rd. So this sounds like it will be eventually where we see the mint, we see the burn of the book tokens for the PFPs. Looks like October 3rd is the date. We see, the burning trash can with the books alongside of it here. This project is cool. I minted a few of the books at that Ducks auction. I flipped at a profit thinking it couldn't keep going up. I thought I found some sort of local top. It just turns out that these holders are so diamond handed that they just don't let that floor drop. And I'm kind of feeling a bit of FOMO missing out on this. It's not something I'm invested in. I think the price point for me is a bit high for what it could potentially offer, but I enjoy these storytelling NFTs. I enjoy 10KTF. And it seems like, they're doing a great job of, narrative, keeping momentum, and having that diamond-handed holder base. So something for sure I'm keeping an eye on. We had an announcement of a curated drop next week, October 5th. We'll have that at 1 p.m. Eastern as usual. Fontana by Harvey Rayner. We have links to the projects as well as some of his previous Art Blocks projects and test outputs directly on our newsfeed. We'll cover that later next week when that drop is imminent to make sure that you don't miss out if that's one that you believe you want to jump into. We saw 3 ape proposals pass. one to integrate Ape with NiftyKit, which is a smart contract platform. We saw AIP 91 pass, which builds a platform connecting talent needs with the Ape community. I think that's sort of like a LinkedIn/job market they were trying to push there. And then we also saw one that passed to fund hackathons, grant programs for people building with ApeCoin, which is definitely good to see. Nouns follows that model of having, these proposals for people to come in and do all these different things with the, Nouns IP. It's great to have people going in and, building, utility applications for ApeCoin itself. So bullish to see there. Great to see that they're continuing to expand their reach and passing some of these that will also increase that reach as well. We saw Tijo, the artist behind Blue, which if you don't remember was the all blue piece of artwork of different hues that sold for approximately $118,000 earlier this month.
Jeez.
We saw him tweet something cryptic and delete it. He said there may be an open edition with a 10-minute window for a piece of his artwork. He later, followed up saying, hey, there's not any drop happening right now. And then he'll let us know if there are. Beware of scams. So what I did is I went to Tijo and I threw on notifications for his account on my main account. So definitely follow him. Definitely throw on notifications. That's going to alert you to any sort of drop that's coming. If you can get into one of these short window open editions, it could be very valuable. Red Sox guy providing some news on the Cool Cats ecosystem that there's an upcoming Habbo airdrop. If you're in the Habbo ecosystem, be aware of this. It's coming on IMX. More details on our newsfeed post. Today, the season 1 transformation ends for On Cyber claims for your World of Women capacitors. Matoshi provided more information here regarding the season 1, a YouTube tutorial on how to transform your capacitor into one of these On Cyber galleries. Just be aware that this ends today. So if you are a WoW capacitor holder, make sure you take action if you want to turn your capacitor into an On Cyber residence. It seems like almost every day we have a new allow list, mint list from the Zen Academy. We have that information here, probably a label mint list. Don't know much about the project, but always entering in these mint lists as, I will take any opportunity that crosses my board that I'm available for. And in the proof ecosystem, been a bit quiet. I think we're expecting an announcement on Monday. We talked about that yesterday. We do have, small incremental updates to the website. They're kind of building framework. We saw that the oddities assets were released on GitHub. So if you want to do any work with oddities now, in addition to Moonbirds, which they already released, you can check out those assets as well, play with them, and use them to further propagate that Moonbirds brand. That is it for the news feed today. We're running a bit longer than I thought we would be, but we do have a few things to talk about with the 3 Ps we talked about earlier. Maybe we'll jump into Pixelmon first. Or punks first.
Pixelmon, let's go there.
Nope, you got it. All you.
All right, I'll pull up the punk stuff, and then if you can load up some of the Pixelmon PFPs there. But yeah, so as far as the punks, we had punk number 4472 receive a bid for 700 ETH yesterday. The owner has not touched their wallet in 9 months. I actually like what Larva Labs does, Ray, as far as their how they have this set up. It's pretty easy to track, and it kind of gives you a rundown really well of what they have going on. So as far as their own marketplace, and we talked about that earlier, seems like Lab still has the best one. As far as the person that put in the bid, they are already a pretty big punk holder. They own 59 punks. There's 34 of them for sale. And they only have one bid out for 700 ETH. So definitely interesting to see there. We will keep you guys posted on what happens there. As far as another piece we wanted to cover is OpenSea kind of upgrading their UI. They added a new storytelling NFT aspect to their Explore page. One of the things that's interesting here is I've been tracking them, and just for context, X2Y2 did 50% of their OpenSea volume yesterday. So X2Y2 did about 4 million yesterday. What's kind of funny to see here is that all of a sudden OpenSea is starting to tweet GMs, starting to tweet. Looks like they hired someone full time to just be on Twitter. They were catching some heat yesterday, getting into some Twitter beef. So kind of funny to see there. I think all of a sudden now OpenSea is making a last ditch effort to try to make moves to try to recapture the market share they lost. But it sounds like for the last year, people have been screaming at them to do this, and it's not until now we're almost done with 2022, and they're starting to make all of these upgrades to their marketplace and all these different aspects when their revenue is probably at a 2022 low.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting to see. I mean, it doesn't move the needle much for me, but it's funny to see them all of a sudden. It's a good narrative, seeing them all of a sudden jumping on, shit posting, responding, doing these things. A bit odd for sure. I pulled up the Pixelmon information. Jumping over there now, they announced a CEO, I believe, and we saw some movement.
So
CEO,
they have a new CEO. Julio is the new CEO, and then if you scroll down, HCL Design is the artist that's going to be behind their new characters. I believe they're going to be coming out with trainers. This person is the lead. If you look at their titles, game developer / principal lead character design for Blizzard. So it seems like they're working on some. He or she is working on stuff for Overwatch, a very popular game that Blizzard is behind. And they were on a space yesterday talking about the art behind this. What was interesting to me and was kind of not a red flag, but just a yellow flag, was why isn't this why aren't they tweeting anything about Pixelmon? It's only about Overwatch, and I don't even know what's going on. But the floor was at 0.17 last week, and now they're sitting at 0.4.
Yeah, I have this. I have many red flags here. To be honest, it's Pixelmon. I can't believe we're talking about Pixelmon on the show. To be honest, after that fiasco, I was part of that fiasco. I was too dumb back then, not dumb enough now. Looking at this, this guy's got 200 followers. He's not even announcing himself as CEO, saying Pixelmon leadership. He's co-founder of this other project. This project has 86 followers, followed only by him and Pixelmon. I don't know who this is. I don't know his background. I would need to look into it more, but that's immediate flags there when I'm doing basic research to see these people, how they're following it, how they are interacting with Web3. I don't see any information, any name here, just a claim that he's this, principal lead or artist. At first glance, in that position, you are doxxed. You would, be providing a bit more. So I don't know. I'm staying away. I'm not getting burned again, but definitely, if you are a risk taker, you can look at some of that, and I brought it up this morning. I was tempted. I was looking all right, well, is there an angle here? Is there something to see? I was like, okay, well, maybe let me look at the unhatched Pixelmon eggs versus the hatched, and that ratio is only increased. So there's not really much arbitrage opportunity there. I was trying to look at potentially listings as well for, the regular Pixelmon, looking at their listings alongside of the floor price over the last month or so. And we're seeing, the listings slowly creep up with the floor price, never a good sign. We were looking at that for unhatched as well. Let's get rid of the floor price there. We'll look at unhatched listings, get rid of that one. And we can see, these are also, they peaked a bit, the listings and the floor price kind of ran as they sold. This is probably when that information came out. We saw a bit of momentum, but they're hanging steady. There's nothing crazy to see here. So the numbers aren't pointing me into a buy here. So something I'll watch. Not going to get burned again on the project. I'm happy sitting on the sidelines if it does end up panning out.
Well, for some relevant market data, in case people are watching or wondering for some of the numbers, they've done 350 ETH in secondary in the last month. So they've probably made they take a 5% cut of that. That's $15,000-$20,000 that they've made from secondary sales. So from this news, the only bold thought process I can think is anyone that is left still holding this thing, they're going to be like, there's no ups. They're not going to sell anytime soon, right? So the people that are getting in are kind of speculating. So, anyways, I don't know, but definitely fun to see there. I don't know if that even is fun, but it's just kind of I'm surprised they even are keeping it going. Like everyone was like totally fine with it. It's like, okay, there's a rug. This thing's done. Just move on. Let them take their money. And now they're trying to come back and try to reignite it. So definitely something to watch for. We will keep you all posted on any developments surrounding Pixelmon going forward.
Yeah,
if there is any.
yeah, I guess the last item that we wanted to talk about with the Penguins, we saw them pop up on the storytelling NFT section of OpenSea, and we did see a bit of a short film like created here. This film, it's basically like a bunch of penguins. There's a story being overlaid, narrated about this blizzard, and they found this igloo and there's a key to enter in, but they couldn't figure out what it was. And they kind of say like, hey, like solve this riddle. And you see some like other like interesting items here. Like you see this orb, you see these cracks that I guess are trying to show like potential hints about how to solve this story. And how the penguins got into this igloo. So I guess that'll be the next chapter of the story. But interesting to see that they are doing a bit of storytelling, a bit of filmmaking. It kind of almost like the storyline almost mimics a bit of how Pudgy Penguins have performed over the last year or so. They talked about like everyone being happy, and there was this big blizzard, and everyone had to band together, and then they finally found like the safety. So interesting, like looking at that and juxtaposing it against the actual story of Pudgy Penguins. I think they do a good job, and I think they were aware enough to do that intentionally to bring in a bit of that holder sentiment. Hey, like, I feel this. I've been along this road. Definitely interesting to watch the Penguins. I haven't looked at their charts in a bit. I don't about the listings a bit. Something I think I can. I don't think I have it on my watch list. So I can't chart it from here, but I know it's one that you've been interested in the past.
Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi was bugging out a little bit. Yeah, I mean the Pudgy Penguin. There, it was funny because if OpenSea would have done this 6 months ago, or whenever we saw it, we would see anything related like Coinbase NFT, a launch partner. You would see the floor automatically like 2x. And OpenSea yesterday announced had them up as their. They tweeted about it and said, "Hey guys, look at we're now featuring storytelling NFTs." The floor, when I was watching, the floor actually went down, which was funny to see that play out. And a lot of red for the Penguins, to be honest. They've kind of they hit this peak of 3.69, and ever since they've been going down. But I will say, I am still bullish on them, considering just from the take I had earlier this week that their listings look really good and the sales are still there, the community sentiment is still there, and they seem to be still building and delivering. So it's just a matter of time before they kind of consolidate, the ownership kind of pans out, unique ownership starts going up, and then something happens before they are ready to pump again. So we'll be watching that.
Yeah, for sure. And that was a steep listing drop on here. We saw 625 down to 476 on the listings on OpenSea. So pretty steep drop over the last few weeks. One to watch out for as well. If that floor continues to dip, those listings continue to drop. We may see this as one of Clemente's plays of the day coming up.
Absolutely. I mean, it actually was one of my plays. It was one of my watch lists because it did come up. I like listings going down. I like floor price going down over time because you can get in a discount and a WETH offer. One of the things I would like to see more of is a little bit more volume. Only having 10 sales a day is not ideal, but if you do see that start to pick up, see 15, see 20 sales a day, that's going to start turning into a really, really nice play, and just a matter of time before you hit it. I'll be watching for Azuki this weekend as well to see if my play pans out. If not, I'll have to take that back. But Ray, we are a little bit over as far as time goes. Just as a reminder, everyone, we will be live later this morning at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, with our weekly market talk where we summarize the last week in the NFT market and bring on some of our WGMI contributors to help break down some of the ecosystems and what they've seen pan out in their own collections. You don't want to miss that, and we will be live on Monday, same time, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, for our episode number 14. Ray, I'll let you wrap it up and we will call it a day.
Absolutely. We want to thank everyone for listening. If you do see tools you're interested in, please visit our site. You can mint our all access pass right now. If you shoot us the word newsfeed in a DM, you'll be entered into a chance to win a 7-day trial to all of our tools. That being said, have a